Tips for how to write a good story. So my name is Layla, and if you didn't know this, I'm actually a beginner writer and I'm writing my first story right now. But I have a lot of different stories just on my Google Docs. I'm finally deciding to stay with one. Now that I got that out of the way, this video is going to be about tips and tricks to writing a good story. I've been writing for almost a year now, and these are obviously not professional tips, but these are my opinions on how I write good. I don't know. Don't forget to follow me because my channel is new and I'm trying to spread this out. So if you see this is a new channel. I have barely any subscribers. And also like the video and share to people that you think would be helpful. Number one is your title. So usually whenever I get a new idea, I don't make the title right away. I actually just work on what I'm writing. So I write down a basis of what I want in my story, and then sometimes I work on the preface. You don't need a preface, but I always write a preface. And I think that writing a title right away can actually make it worse, the title. So work on your story first, and then whenever it comes to you, use it. Because my first story I wrote a year ago and I'm still working on it, and funny enough, it took me a year to decide on the title name, and it's good. It matches my story. Second, and this is something that came later to me, is have a description for everything. So sometimes whenever I'm doing school projects and short stories for Greek mythology in my classes, one of the things that my teacher makes me do is swap stories with another person and have them what you could change about your story. And one thing I always get is write descriptions of people, what they look like and how they act, what are their traits, what are they doing, what do they look like they doing. That gives an idea of what you want the people to be like. Whenever you read, you usually make a story in your mind, a movie in your mind, so you need to have a visual, what you think they look like, so you can make the story in your mind. Another thing is, if you run out of ideas, just put it aside, because sometimes you get really in the story and then you find a stopping place where it's okay, I don't know what to put after this because it dimmed down. What I do usually is I put it aside, and then whenever I pick it back up, I'm okay, wait, I know what to do with this now. And if you just keep writing, it probably won't be good. It's just going to be repetition, just repeating the same thing you said over and over again, and the story is going to get boring at that point. Putting it aside before it can get boring is probably your best bet. Another one is, if you're not in the mood to write, don't write. Because same thing, it's gonna get boring. If you're not in the mood to write, it's probably not gonna produce anything good at this point anyways. Even if you need to write, you feel oh, I haven't written in a while, it does not matter. It's gonna make your story boring unless you get a good idea while you're doing it. I don't know. But usually whenever you don't feel like writing, you're just going to sit there, fidget, and then write a few words, but it's not going to be anything productive, so just don't do it. Something that's really helped me is having a separate tab open while I'm working, that if I find an idea but it's not relevant in that moment in the story, I put it down in another tab for later in the story. So if my characters just split up or the character's introduced and you don't know what you want to do for them yet, but you decide, but you still want to be a mystery to the other characters, you can write a note down being oh, this person's gonna actually end up being the bad guy, or this person's actually gonna end up being the good guy, but they don't know that yet. So it makes some idea of what you're gonna do with the story and make it more interesting. So yeah. Something else that can be really helpful if you run out of ideas is reading. Even just reading your own story can help you a lot, because then you can go over everything that you've already done and say, okay, this has been unanswered. Write a list of things that you've started to produce in your story, but things that need to be developed more in the future, and you can write down a list of things okay, this person still hasn't found their friend, and that's an element of the story but not the main thing, so a whole ton of different elements to make the story feel full, just keeps the story going. But that can help a lot. And also reading somebody else's story, reading a book that you just have aside, can give you ideas how the author writes and be okay, I like that, how they wrote that, how it's written, and how they have references to stuff. Reading other stuff can give you inspiration for your own story, but don't copy theirs, obviously. Another thing is writing down your idea right whenever you get one. Sometimes stories can go stale and you just have no idea what to do anymore, And sometimes, you know, like I said before, just putting it away is the best thing you can do. Sometimes whenever I'm doing normal day stuff, I start thinking about my story and I'm like, oh my gosh, wait, that's such a good idea, I can add this to my story, but I forget about it later, and it could have really blossomed my story. So having a notebook with you and writing down all your little ideas and all your little, like, thoughts that you think, okay, this is silly, but it could actually help a lot. Another thing is switching the POV whenever your story is getting boring. Sometimes there's two really important characters, but one is considered the main character, but the other one is beloved so much. If you switch the speakers and the POV, it makes the story 10 times better because they're getting a little piece of a character that they love, even though it isn't the main character. So you get their point of view instead of the person that's like the main person. And it can really like move your story along and give a little more insight about the people in your story. Doing this will also make your story longer. Like, it'll make for a really interesting piece of information and double the story's length. Another thing is sometimes just reading through your story and fixing things like grammar, but don't change your story yet, because I promise you, if you put like aside your story for a month, your done story, if you read through it, you'll find so many things you need to edit or add. Like, you'll find things like metaphors that you can add that sound relevant in that moment. Just widen your story so much, and I promise you that I'll add like 10 pages. Or if you're like a really good writer, or you just have more ideas that have just been building during that time, you could end up with like 20 more pages, and that'll really get your story to blossom a lot. I almost forgot this one that helps me a lot. So I'm actually writing historical fiction right now, and something that helps me is listening to classical piano music, because sometimes people actually listen to music while they're reading. Picking music that matches the book, historical fiction obviously reminds me of piano and stuff, and sometimes I'll even listen to the Nutcracker, and it really just adds on to what I think about, like how I'm writing. And then sometimes listening to intense music during the climax can get you like feeling more passionate about it and like writing super fast, and honestly it doesn't distract me at all. Anyway, that's it for this video, and I really hope you enjoyed watching this, and I hope it really helped you, because I know that these things have helped me with actually trying to get far in my book and all the other things that I have done too. Like, I've written a lot in a day. Thank you so much for clicking on this video, and if you like watched all the way through, I am so grateful, because obviously this is a new channel. Comment down below if this helped you like at all. I'm literally just gonna be so happy if this helped. So yeah, I'll talk to you guys later, and I'm sorry for the inconsistency if you actually watch my channel. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye!